Join us in the Bear Den, a real-life, real-love podcast celebrating the joys and challenges of parenting, family dynamics, and unconditional love.
Hey friends, welcome to another episode of the Bear Den podcast. My beautiful guest today is Miss Becca Swiss. She is a social media content creator. She's also a phenomenal mother and also an entrepreneurial business partner. Miss Becca Swiss, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Are you so excited?
Yeah, I am.
You told me this is your first ever podcast.
Yes, it's my first.
That blows my mind. Blows my mind. I am very excited that you are here. Thank you for coming on. I know that you have a very interesting story, which I would love the world to hear, because I truly believe you have breakthroughs and nuggets and beautiful bits of information that people can glean into, listen to, and take away from.
Yeah.
So let's go back to where it all began.
Okay.
You are Brazilian.
Yes, I am.
What the hell? Amazing. So tell us a little bit of this. You were born in Brazil, came to the US. How did all that happen?
Yeah, so I was born in Brazil. Actually, I was born in Belém because my dad was in the Navy in Brazil. So we moved around a lot.
Gotcha.
So I was born in Belém. My family's from Rio. And when I was about 4 years old, we moved to the US. And my dad went to BYU.
Oh,
so
really?
I lived here when I was really little. And then we moved to Maryland. And then we moved to Florida. And I mostly remember growing up in Florida. So that's kind of where I identify my childhood.
Did you move around because your dad was military, these raw postings?
No, he wasn't in the military anymore. That's why he left Brazil, because he didn't want to be in the military anymore. But our whole family in Brazil, my grandpa, my uncle, they are military family. So he wanted to break away from that.
Gotcha.
And start fresh. And so he came here. We moved around a ton. My parents just like moving. So, and also for business. He'd get a new job and we'd move. So I grew up in Florida. And then my dad lost his job. I didn't know this. I was 14, 15 years old. And they sent me to live with my aunt. But I didn't know I was going to go live with her. They just sent me. And I never got to say goodbye to anyone. I thought I was going for summer vacation. And then I started school.
A week?
Yeah.
Still here. It's been 3 months. This is awkward.
And then I graduated from Spanish Fork High School, went to the University of Utah, and then I met Dan, my husband, and that's why I'm still here.
So let's rewind.
Okay.
You're with your parents in Florida.
Yes.
They send you to live with your aunt,
Yes.
who was here in Utah?
Yes, in Spanish Fork.
Why?
So throughout my childhood, my mom suffered from depression and anxiety.
Okay.
And I didn't know that.
Okay.
But when she struggled, she sent us away. So throughout my childhood, I remember when I was really, really young having babysitters, and there was some weird experience with certain babysitters. And then during the summer, she'd ship my brothers off to Utah when we were living in Florida is what I mostly remember. And sometimes every once in a while I'd go with her to Brazil. She would go to Brazil, we'd be shipped to Utah for the whole summer, not just a week, months.
Wow.
And growing up that way, I thought it was normal, totally normal.
Okay.
And then one time I got shipped to Utah and I never came back to Florida. I wasn't told why. I was told we were going out for vacation, but I never saw my bed again. I never saw my things again. I didn't say goodbye to any of my friends. And at that time I was 15 years old. I had a crush on a boy and things were thriving.
Yeah.
And gone, nothing. And then I was very angry teenager at that time. And
Well, your whole life's just been turned upside down, literally.
Yes. Yeah.
Everything you've ever known, you've ever loved, the friends you have, the possessions you have,
Yes.
the community you live in, just poof,
Yes. Gone. And I never, till this day, never went back. I had nightmares of my home in Florida. It's like my soul didn't get to heal from that trauma. And I was treated like a possession, not a person.
Was
no
there
one
a
explained.
reason why for this?
My parents never explained anything to me.
Okay.
And so as I've grown up, I've had to piece things together myself and find my own healing. But throughout my childhood, there was just a lot of things now looking back that was abusive. And I don't know if they would agree that it's abuse, but I don't care what they think because I care about what I experienced. And a lot of people don't believe me because it was all very hush hush.
Really?
Yes. Like even one of my brothers doesn't, like he called me a liar when I told him the truth about my childhood. I was physically abused. Just a lot, like to the point where I would turn to my dad and say, hit me again. Like I grew a very tough skin and high pain tolerance because they would just hit me. And I knew me showing emotion is what they wanted from me. So I wouldn't show it.
Wow.
And I would just turn to him and be like, go ahead, hit me again. And then
again.
he'd go even harder. And
So like almost like they're trying to break you.
yes, into submission.
For what reasoning?
They wanted to control me, and I was never controllable. And all I wanted was really for them to listen to me and love me.
Love you?
Yeah.
Like a kid?
They say they love me, but every time I wanted to be my own person, they kind of wanted to break me out of it.
Were you the only girl?
Only girl.
You're the only girl.
Oldest as well.
Oh, you're
two
the
younger
okay.
brothers.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Was the same thing happening to your brothers?
I don't know. I did turn to my parents and I told them, if you do the same to them, they will never talk to you. So I told them, I'm like, what you're doing to me, like, is not right. And I was a kid saying this to them, and he'd probably hit me after. But I said, what you're doing to me is terrible, and you better not do this to my brothers. Like, I was very protective over them because I knew what was going on with me was breaking me. And if they wanted a relationship with them, they needed to not do this anymore.
Yeah.
So that was in Florida. I ran away from home a couple times. People that noticed I've heard now people have told them like, hey, that's probably not a good idea how you're treating her. And they would just tell them to mind their own business. But yeah, that was kind of my childhood. It was just very emotional, physical abuse. Like,
did you have anyone you could turn to back then?
no, because everyone was on their side and they were so good at manipulating people that no one could believe that they would be that way with me.
It's almost a 15-year-old girl's word, or younger at that point probably.
Yeah.
It's like your word against theirs. And like, they're adults. Why wouldn't they be believed, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I remember my mom saying, like, when you're grown up, when you have your own kids, you'll understand.
What?
And I have my own kids, and I
you still
don't
don't
understand. Yeah.
I'm not pretty sure that me beating the shit out of my kid is going to teach them to eat their greens.
Yeah, and
right?
like the only thing they kept as like, okay, well, we don't hit you above the waist, so it's fine. I'm like, so because no one can see where you're hitting me, it's fine. And it's not fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm so sorry, my love.
Oh, it's okay.
Wow. So you moved to Utah with your aunt. Did you were what, 15 at the time, you said?
Yeah. So, yeah.
So you kind of left it. So, and I'm trying to wrap my head around this as you're telling me this. There's got to have been at some point an emotion of, hell yeah, I'm leaving this horrible situation I'm in. But then it's also heartbreaking that you're leaving, like you said earlier, the boy that you'd got a crush on, your friends, your community, your bedroom and your possessions. There's got to have been some sort of like emotional turmoil.
Yes. I wasn't happy to leave.
Yeah. Oh, really?
I was told, I believed that my situation was great. Like, yes, I was being hit, but it was spanking.
Oh.
It wasn't abuse. And I didn't know.
So it was like normalized.
It was normalized, yes. And how I felt, I thought it was normal. And how I thought about myself, I thought it was normal.
Did you ever talk to any other kids like your age?
I wasn't allowed to talk to anyone.
And question this? I'm like, hey, just out of curiosity, do you get like beat up at home?
Yeah, no, I wasn't. They said that if I said anything to anyone, that the police would come and get me.
Holy
So I never talked
shit.
to anyone about it. And I never shared anything about it until probably on social media. I'm very open on social media about my life. And I really, truly only started talking about it like about a year ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
What held you back from talking about it for so long?
The thought process of, well, no, this wasn't abuse. I was told this wasn't abuse. Like, this is fine. But and then I started being honest with myself and thinking through, like, the trauma I've experienced and that I'm trying to heal from now. Why is that not abuse then? If it if it hurt me that much and that deeply to the point where I don't want to be alive anymore, why do I say that's okay to myself?
Yeah.
You know?
Did you go through suicidal thoughts?
Yeah.
Wow. How
Yeah.
recently?
This past January.
Really?
Yeah.
Even this far past?
Yeah, it happens every single time I have like an experience with them. So after high school and through college, I had them in my life. And then when I met Dan, he helped me. He was the only person who's not only witnessed what they've done, but has also believed me. Like, I would say things, but no one believed me.
Mm-hmm.
And he's the only person that witnessed what happened, not in the past, but like whatever happened from then on once we met, and would see that my parents would lie or manipulate me or try to like say that how they are acting is fine. So he helped me have the strength to cut them off completely.
Yeah.
And for 2 years, 3 years or something, I didn't talk to them. Almost got a restraining order on my mom because she would send her friends to find out where I live, to find things out about me, and they would go park in front of my house and just sit there. And when all I wanted was just leave me alone.
Yeah.
So just throughout time, like, they were in my life until the end of college. I told them that I don't want them in my life anymore. Like, don't even come looking for me. And they found their way to me. And this is one of the reasons why I have a really hard time with the church I was brought up in, because they would say that, well, we prayed and we found you. And I'm like, so I'm betrayed.
Was this LDS church?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So I felt betrayed. And I'm like, this God that you believe in has to have my back too.
Yeah.
And from what you're saying, he doesn't.
So you it sounds like in your eyes and in your mind, there was nobody there for you.
Yeah.
Your parents, who are meant to be your protector and your guide and your mentor, and they weren't there. They weren't those. They actually were your abuser.
Yeah.
The God that the God and the religion that you'd been raised in and that you prayed to, you're sitting there as a kid going, why on this God's green earth are you letting this shit happen to me? You're meant to, I'm one of your children. You're meant to look out for me.
Yeah.
That ain't happening. You must have felt really alone.
Yeah, I did. And like, even knowing Dan, he travels a lot. And when you get married, you seem to kind of retreat back to your family. Like, when people get married, you're in your single life, you're with your friends. Then you get married and you go back to the family. And I didn't have anyone to go back to. So when he would travel, I'd be alone. And when I had my son, I'd be alone raising him. I didn't have a mom when I had kids. I didn't have anyone to turn to. Sorry, I was not expecting to get emotional, but I am. And bless Dan's heart, he tried his best to be there for me and to understand. But there's just something where, unless you've been through it, you don't really understand.
Mm-hmm.
And so he leaves a lot. And I just had to find a sense of like, well, I'm going to either fight for myself and survive, or I'm not going to survive this.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to do it by myself.
Yeah.
Because in my life, I've learned that no one has my back except myself.
Mm-hmm.
So that was hard, actually, in a marriage, because I expected him to leave me too.
Really?
Yeah. I'd have nightmares of him leaving me, but he hasn't yet. So
because the main important people in your life have left you.
Yeah.
Wow. Holy shit. firstly, it's just so sad to hear that, because from what I know of you, which again is a very limited amount, we've met several times, and obviously I know your husband a lot deeper. I have a lot deeper of a connection with your husband, Dan, because we are the they. We spend a lot of time together. We talk a lot, and I'm very blessed to have met you several times. But I don't know this. And from what I've seen of you and heard of you, and the interactions I've had with you, you're just this amazing, bubbly character.
Oh, you're nice.
No, it's true. Like every time I've met you, you've been super bubbly, outgoing. Obviously, I follow you on social media and I see the posts of the family. I'm like, you're just an amazing gal, right? But then to sit here and hear of like the trauma that you've gone through, the pain that you've gone through, the lack of hope that you've had in your life, and obviously the suicidal tendencies and thoughts, I'm like, it is just crippling.
Yeah.
Because you just don't put that story with the person that you see today. And quite honestly, that's a testament to you to have gone through that and have built the character of who Becca Swiss is.
Yeah.
That is strong and beautiful and powerful and, a leader and, growing and sharing your story on social media and helping others to grow and go through things that you've gone through. Like, you have to pull yourself up by your bootstraps because, like you said, you're the only one going to do this. No one's coming to rescue you.
Yeah.
Right? Even though you've got Dan, who is your knight in shining armor. He's there. He's ready to go to battle for you, but he
no one can
still
do the work
can't
for
fight
you.
all the battles, right?
Yeah.
Because all your battles, they're not physical.
Yes.
They're
Yeah.
mental, right?
Yes.
And he can't fix that. So just a huge testament to you for who you are and the person you've become and the mother that you are and the wife you are, having gone through that. That's
Thanks.
holy shit, girl.
That's very nice of you to
Holy
say.
shit.
Thank you.
So growing up, you moved here. You went to University of Utah. You met Dan.
Not through the University of Utah.
Oh, you didn't?
No, actually.
Oh,
So
pray tell.
we met in a moment of me being irresponsible, but it was the best. I feel like in college, like people are like, oh, be responsible, do your schoolwork, work, pay for your rent. And I use my rent money to go to Lake Powell. And, I'm like, I'll figure it out later.
Yeah, who needs to eat? Ramen's 99 cents. I can figure this out, right?
It's fine. We're young. We will survive.
That's hilarious.
So yeah, I met him. So what happened was I was going through a breakup at the time, and I was heartbroken, and I needed to a change and needed to meet new friends. And so I met a friend, and then this person that I met, it was at a barbecue, told me about a Lake Powell trip that was a week away. And I was like, I don't have any money. So the good thing though about college girls is that you can kind of get things paid for you.
Oh, really?
You know what I mean?
Oh, really? Hadn't noticed.
I don't have any money. And she's
Hold on.
like,
Did he go like this? Blink, flutter, 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 flutter. I don't have any money.
I don't have any money. No, this is a friend that's a girl.
Oh, okay.
And she's like, well, we'll figure it out. Just come ride with my ride. I got a random ride. Let's just go together. And I'm like, okay. Met this girl. That was the day I met her. And I was like, let's go.
Thelma Louise shit going on.
So, and then 2 days before the trip, she's like, I can't go. I can't get off. I mean, I'm going, but I'm going later because I can't get off work early enough to go with this ride, but you can still go. So I don't know any of these people.
So you're in a car with strangers heading to Lake Powell.
Yes.
Pretty sure I've seen this movie. Doesn't work out very well for the girl.
I should be dead. It's fine. Do I want to share this story with my daughter? No. So this cannot be.
Oh, it's in the podcast.
I know. It's fine.
It's in.
She will know eventually.
Exactly.
I'll put a tracker chip in her,
Apple AirTag.
Right.
Put that in their shoe.
Everything will be fine in the future.
Money.
So I went on this ride, and the random ride driver was Dan. So I met him that day that we went to Lake Powell.
You married a rando.
I did. I know, but he was really cute. I mean, he still is.
He is a cutie.
So
He is a cutie.
we've been together ever since.
So how long have you been together?
Together 12 years.
Married for
10.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
You have 2 beautiful kids.
2 kids.
Which we're gonna get to in a minute. We're gonna get
Yes.
to the present in a minute. I don't want to harp on the past, but I think
No, you're fine.
your story in the past is so powerful of who you are in the present. Okay. So just as we kind of wrap up Becca's past, you met Dan when you were how old? So how old are you now? Minus 12.
I am minus 12. I know. Do the math for me because I don't do math. I'm 35.
Okay, minus 12.
I think I was 21.
23.
23.
Okay.
Yeah, we're really good at math here.
We got you.
Unless it's shopping, it's not going to work.
I love that. It's like, oh, there's 20% off. I know exactly how much it's going to cost.
With tax, I know how it works. But if it's like life math, it doesn't work.
Amen. All those teachers back in the day that were like, you're never going to have a calculator in your pocket.
Look at us now.
Look at us now. Check us now. So before you met Dan, you've kind of gone through all these things. You've gone through all these emotions. You've gone through all this hardship. You've moved to Utah at the age of 15. You're living with your aunt. Mm-hmm. From the age of 15 to when you met Dan, 23, obviously, you're kind of in your teenage years, your later teenage years, where really people kind of find themselves or begin to kind of find themselves.
Right.
Who was Becca in those years?
A very confused and mad little girl.
Were you ever able to open up to your aunt and tell her what had gone on? Did you have I think more important, the question is, did you have an adult anchor that you could lean into and talk to about any of this?
I started really leaning into her.
Into your aunt?
Yes. She stepped up when I needed someone to.
Okay.
In my life. Basically, my whole life. Even as a child, I didn't see her as often, but I saw her when we went to Utah because we lived in Florida. And then moving into her house, I give her a lot of like, I don't know what the word is, but love or praise or whatever for taking on an angry teenager like I was in the situation that I was in, and to not know how to handle the situation, but she did it with grace.
Did she have children?
She does. She has 2 kids.
Okay. Were they the same age as you roughly? Or?
No. So my cousin was my older cousin and her kids is a few years younger than me.
Okay.
And then the other one was quite a few years younger than me, but we were like brother and sister.
Gotcha.
And that's when I started kind of feeling like, okay, that could be my family, you know? Like I felt like as a child, I was always searching for a family. And like, even though I was in my family, I never felt like I belonged there. And they didn't seem to like me, like who I was wanting to be. They wanted me to be someone else. And as a kid, I was like, I guess there's something wrong with me.
Who did they want you to be? Did you ever figure that out? Like from who you were to who they wanted you to be?
My mom wanted me to be her.
Okay. And what did that look like?
And I are very different.
What does you looking like your mom look like?
My mom, I don't know. I still don't know, because I have always been born with a very strong sense of being true to who I am, even if it was the hard way to go.
Gotcha.
She wanted me to be her best friend like she was her mom's best friend. It was like she wanted this vision for me, but it didn't match up with who I am to the core.
Gotcha.
They wanted me to be strongly into the religion when that wasn't lining up for me. And I would question things, and the answers I got didn't line up either. And I'm a very intuitive person. Like, I might not be the smartest person in the world, but I pride myself with guiding through my heart. And it's never led me astray. And so it caused a lot of friction between us, because they wanted me to, like, I was asked, like, oh, you're Brazilian, do you know how to cook? I'm like, no, I absolutely hate cooking. I hate being in the kitchen.
Stereotypical
like, it literally,
thing.
Yeah, like I hate it. Like, have I tried? Yes. Do I love it? No. And when I do try, I'm not good at it, you know? So why put in the time?
That's why we have Uber Eats.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. But she's an amazing cook, and she wanted to be an amazing cook. And I feel like that wasn't one of my passions.
Yeah.
She wanted me to be this, like, I don't even know. Like, I don't know what she wanted me to be. All I know is that whoever I wanted to be was not what she wanted me to be.
Did you ever feel like changing and moving away from who your core told you were to being more like her to stop the abuse?
No.
No.
Because it wasn't worth losing my soul to give in to the abuse.
Shit,
to get rid of
that is
the
powerful.
abuse.
What a powerful, beautiful statement.
My soul is
Say
way more
that
important.
again. Say that again, but slower.
It wasn't worth giving up my soul to get rid of the abuse. It's the one thing I could hold on to.
Wow. Wow. That is really profound and beautiful.
Thanks.
Oh, no joke. Like, honestly, like all the things you could have done, right? Just think about that. The things you could have done. She wanted you to be a mini her. If you'd have done that, it would have could have all stopped.
It would have been
She'd have got
great.
what she wanted.
Yeah, but I would have died inside.
But you'd have died inside.
Yeah.
So it was worth taking the pain and the punishment to stay true to who you were than it was to just.
Well, you only get to live your life once. And you can live it for yourself or you can live it for someone else. And at the end of the life, you can say, it was hard, but I lived my life. Or you can say, I took the easy route, but I never lived.
Fuck.
And I don't ever want to regret anything about my life. So I chose the hard way.
Holy shit. That is really amazingly strong of you. And for a kid to think that is just so freaking powerful. And I hope that anyone's listening that's ever been in that situation or is in that situation is just hears that and it resonates that, you know, to give up who you are at your core would to die inside just to stop the pain. Like, that's really powerful.
So you just grow thick skin and a high pain tolerance and you'll be just fine.
Holy shit. Seriously. Leaving that behind, leaving the trauma, the past behind, and moving forward. You are a mother of two beautiful kids. I have their names written down here. Aiden Fox and Aria Jade, a boy and a girl.
Yep.
Having your own children and obviously knowing what you've gone through and now having your own children, what things have you put in place as a parent now to ensure that what you went through never happens to your kids? Not that you're going to do it.
No, it will never happen.
Yeah.
They'll have different things to probably work on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. So what things have you put in place for you with your kids that allows you to have the amazing relationship that you never had? Because quite honestly, like, you can't rinse and repeat. You can't copy and paste because you didn't have a beautiful childhood.
Right.
So it's not like you can, with your kids, go, oh, I remember when my mom used to take us to the park or bake with us or do this. You can't.
And even the positive things are now tainted.
Yeah.
So it's like I really had to start fresh.
Yeah, you can't recreate memories of your childhood with your kids because they're not memories you want to recreate, right?
Yes.
So what things do you put in place to create new memories?
Well, that was, it will constantly be something I'm trying to work on because it's forever. And they're gonna have different ages and different experiences, and every year, every day will be different. But the thing that I can keep constant is me being true to who I am and letting them know that. I feel like a lot of the times people treat children, as possessions, where I treat them as little people that are their own person. And if I don't speak my mind to them and explain things to them, they won't understand. Okay. So when I screw up, which I do a lot, I apologize. And I tell them why I'm apologizing. And I tell them that their feelings are valid. And being mad at me, being sad at me, that's okay. Because you're a person and I'm a person. And I don't expect you to be perfect. And I'm not going to be perfect. I'm not going to hold that guilt over me and trying to be this perfect mom because that's just not who I am.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be the best I can be and I am flawed.
Yeah.
And if I can teach them how to work through their flaws, to turn everything around into a positive thing, to use it as a way to communicate, then if that's the only thing I can do good as a mom, then that's good enough for me.
I love that. I love that. Do you see yourself as flawed, and in what way? Because you mentioned that twice, and I just want to. So, what ways do you see yourself as flawed?
I do, because I bring. So in my past, in our family, we yelled a lot at each other. We were very vocal, emotionally abusive as well. Like just fights would explode. It would be a big issue. And I lose my crap. I lose my shit. Like it's just, I try not to.
Mm-hmm.
And the more I work on it, the less and less it happens.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I do bring things from my past into my now.
Yeah.
But I'm not okay letting it sit there. I am constantly working on finding a different way to handle situations instead of how I was taught to.
What I think that's beautiful that you recognize that, right?
Yeah.
What are some of the tools that you use or methods that you use to diffuse that part of Rebecca?
Mm-hmm. Learning to take a step back and like just think about things and like handle them without emotion later.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, I'm a very emotional person. My kids are emotional little babies. And we have this thing in our house where it's like, well, let's just go take a break. Like, let's just go into our rooms and just sit for a minute and just take a break. And then my son will come down when he's ready to come down. My daughter will come down when she's ready. And then I do the same for me. Like, I'll just go retreat and then let the emotion kind of chill out and then try to address the problem.
Yeah.
Now, with them being so young, it's a repetitive it's constantly like repeating.
Mommy's in timeout again.
Yes. It's constantly like, sometimes we're out and about. Sometimes I have to be strict with them. Like I am a very disciplinary parent because it's my job to teach them how to behave properly around people, how to respect others. Like we don't hit others. We want to leave people feeling happy around us. Like it's a constant thing that I am navigating and learning which way works with each kid because each kid is different.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the discipline is different with each kid.
Mm-hmm.
But making that discipline more of a learning thing instead of ruining our relationship.
Yeah. Is there any positives you can take from your childhood, your past, your trauma? Are there any positives that you can take from that at all?
Yeah, what not to do.
What not to do?
Yeah.
It's like easy. Everything that was in my
What
my
not to
childhood,
do.
don't do it again.
Yes. Because every single time I just remember it all the time.
Yeah.
You know, and it helps me make decisions, make the hard decisions to fix it.
Yeah. Do you have anything in your present which is a trigger to the past? Besides obviously your parents.
Right.
But like in your day-to-day life with dad and with the kids and at home, is there anything where it's just like
Yeah. And I would say that would be things in our marriage and things that the hardships that we have in our marriage. Sometimes I react to things that he doesn't understand why I'm reacting in such a serious way.
Gotcha.
Where he's like, he doesn't have that trauma. He doesn't know that, for an example, picking up a plate a certain way would upset me so much. But the more we talk about it, I feel like he is trying his best to understand why certain things that don't matter to him matter to me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I'm able to like find a word for it or notice that it's happening and stop it and try to find a new way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
More of a behavior correcting,
Yeah,
I guess. Like
it's a course correction.
Course correction.
Yeah.
Yeah. So even with my relationships, I used to talk to both of my brothers. Now I kind of only have a relationship with one. And that's helped me a lot with figuring out like how to have conversations with them because we didn't even know how to talk to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, while I was in college, they lived in Brazil for like 10 years and I never talked to them for like 10 years. So everything is, I'm learning. I feel like every day.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you, I probably already know the answer to this, but do you have any connection with your parents at all in today's present life?
No. So from the time that I got married, they weren't invited to my wedding. We had a huge fight and they were not invited. And for them to not be invited, it was a huge, huge thing.
Mm-hmm.
From then on, I didn't want to speak to them or talk to them like they weren't part of my life anymore. And that went on for probably like 3 years. They only met my son when he was 2. And the only reason why they met my son was because I just felt deep into my heart that I should give him another chance to see if there has been any change, or if there could be, after such a long break, a potential like something in the future. So I kind of carefully opened up my life to them, but our relationship was never the same. But I wanted them to get to know their grandkids, because my family growing up, they lied to me about a lot of our family members. And so in my head, I thought that our grandparents didn't like us. They didn't visit us. They didn't like us. They talked bad about my aunt to me, the one that is like a mother to me.
Yeah.
So I grew up not liking them. And I didn't want to do that same thing to my kids. I want them to have their own choice. So I allowed them to get to know their grandparents. But it was, a hit and miss kind of thing for a little bit. And then this past Christmas, we spent Christmas with them.
Oh, wow.
And I really tried. They live in Florida now, and we flew all the way to Florida and tried to like make it work. And I, deep down in my gut, just didn't feel like I belonged there. And
is there a correlation between you spending Christmas with your parents and your latest suicidal tendencies and thoughts in January?
Yeah.
Was that the trigger?
Yes. It wasn't necessarily at Christmas where there was a trigger. It was the whole Christmas thing went down. And when I came home, I don't know why, but that was when I first started talking about my physical abuse as a child, was just this past January. And I shared it on social media, because the reason why I even have my social media is because I felt so alone in my life that I didn't want someone else to ever feel that way. So if I were to be raw and share my life, hopefully it will at least let someone know it's like, I might not be able to hold your hand physically, but I am trying to. I'm here for you. You're not alone.
Yeah.
Because just that thought of not being alone might get you to the next day.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Christmas happened, we came home, and I shared something very vulnerable on social media. I don't regret it. That's the type of person I am. I'm an open book. And my brother attacked me on social media. Not the one that I currently have a relationship with, the other one. And I called him and was like, first of all, you don't ever have a conversation attacking someone like that on social media, let alone a text. Like, you call them.
Yeah.
So I'm calling you now. Would you like to have an adult conversation? And yes, that was an aggressive way to start a conversation.
Little fiery.
Little fiery.
A little lie.
And he's like, whoa, Becca, okay. And I'm like, dude, you are 8 years younger than me. Let's grow up. I know you're 8 years younger than me, but it's time to grow up. Yeah. You just don't talk to someone like that. And if they mean a lot to you, then give them a call.
Yeah.
So I said that to him. And the whole conversation was about how my childhood, and I was like, listen, I'm going to be real with you. I'm going to share with you the truth about my childhood that I've never talked to you about. And he straight up told me that I was lying. He laughed at me. And for anyone who has experienced trauma or abuse, when you open up like that and someone laughs at you, it's the absolute ultimate insult.
Yeah, I can imagine, yeah.
And a huge thought came into my head, like an aha moment, when I just realized, not only has my mother I don't like to say ruined my life, because I know I have chosen lots of things that have made my life amazing.
Yeah.
So I can't let her take all the credit. But she has manipulated and brainwashed those who don't have connection with me so strongly that he doesn't even believe what I'm trying to tell him. And he laughs at me and tells me I'm lying because he knows how our mother is. So I'm probably the same. If he knew me, he would know we're black and white difference.
Yeah.
she's nothing like me and I'm nothing like her. And that's when I realized my family only wants me to sit there with my mouth closed. They are only talking to me because we're blood related. If we weren't blood related, they would not talk to me. They don't like who I am. So when that sank in, the thought of they don't actually like me. Like, I always had hope for the future, but when I realized there is no hope for the future, like they don't like the person that I am, that destroyed me. So in January,
I can imagine that's
it's
really tough. You know, your blood,
right,
in essence. You know, regardless of whether you, regardless of whether you get on, regardless of whether you speak, regardless of whether you can tolerate each other, your blood.
Yeah.
There has to be a level of, yeah, okay, my brother's an asshole, my sister's an asshole, I haven't spoke to her in years, but at the end of the day, she's still my sister. I'll love her regardless. I just don't love what she's doing.
Right.
But then to hear that and be like, they actually don't love me or like me. Like, they probably wish we weren't even related at this point, right?
If I wasn't blood related, there'd be nothing
There'd
there.
be nothing there.
Yeah.
And that just rocked your world.
Yeah. And then I realized that I don't think anyone really cares if I'm even here anymore. If I were to just disappear the next day, would they
even notice?
They wouldn't notice. They wouldn't care. They'd probably say that I deserved it for my life choices or something.
They would justify it.
Yeah. So that's when I started in January having a really, really hard time. I got hit hard with depression. And the only thing that kept me going were the fact that I knew that Dan loved me so much. And I knew that my kids, like, I couldn't leave them. And so that literally, if I didn't have them, I wouldn't be here today because of everything with my family. Like, I can't go back to them. Mm-hmm. I'd honestly rather choose death over going back to them.
No, the beautiful thing is, love, you don't ever have to go back to them.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
You know, you're mid-30s, you're a mom, you're a business owner.
Yeah.
You don't have to do shit that they say anymore. Like, you're your own person. You're not a minor anymore. When they tell you to come home, you don't have to go running.
Yeah.
Like, you're done. Right?
Yeah.
So what are some of the things, and I'm asking this in the sense of, because I've been where you are. Not that I have such a dissolvement of my family that I would rather not be here than be with my family, but I have gone through a lot of self-worth things for many years, to the point where I've now openly talked about it with close friends, and I may have shared it on here before, that there was a time in my life where I wrote down, if I wasn't here, would I be missed? Like, truly. I'm like, I what's my purpose? Why am I even here? Like, if I wasn't here today, would I be missed? Mm-hmm. Like, who would show up? And I couldn't really think of many people. Mm-hmm. The people that I did anchor onto was like, it would completely kill my parents if I was to ever do something. I had Andrea and the girls, but in my mind at that time, I was like, they'd be okay. Like, she'd find another guy, and the girls would find another stepdad, and they'd mourn, but they'd be okay, right? I just didn't have that in me to know where I was, right? How did, going through that mindset with you in January and coming to that realization of like, would I be missed? Would I even be noticed if I wasn't here? What tools did you use to bring you out of that? Because I'm sure there is a lot of people who, whether they admit it openly or may even just be sitting and listening to this, feeling the same way. Mm-hmm. I'm not seen. I'm not worthy. If I wasn't here, would I be missed? What did you use to pull yourself out of that hole and be like, you know what? I am freaking worthy. I would be missed. And I got to beat this demon. And the only person that can do it is me.
Yeah. So one huge tool was the SWAT program, the We Are the They. We went on a retreat. I think it was February. I don't remember when this last retreat was, but Andrea was there. Mm-hmm. And I remember when I first got there that night, I had so much anxiety that my throat kind of started closing up and I couldn't sleep and I was shaking. And so I left the room because there was a lot of people sleeping. I didn't want to wake anyone up. And I went into the little living area next to the rooms and on the couch, and I just sat there. I was just waiting for it to pass, really. And I didn't expect to sleep that night at all. And Andrea walked in, and I didn't know her, you know? And for me, like, when I don't know people, like, if the people who I know, who are family members, have left me, then I don't expect someone who I don't know to I even get close to caring.
Yeah.
And she cared, and she just sat there, like sat on the couch and just talked me through things, like helped me kind of like breathe again. Because I physically was just like couldn't breathe. And that's when I knew that this whole trip thing and this whole group thing, like, it was something I needed. And throughout the whole trip, I've never been able to forgive my mother for what she did. And I know that lots of times in therapy, they're like, you need to forgive so you can let go. And in my heart, because in our religion, they basically put forgiving as in letting it go as if it never happened. I couldn't use that word forgiveness.
Yeah.
So I had experiences during that weekend that really changed my life. I was able to, I don't even want to say forgive my mother, but I was able to let her go. And I had a moment where we did breath work and it was amazing. But there was this one moment where we took this tea and I'm like, well, we'll see how this goes. You know, like, we'll see.
Hey, listen, love, you're talking to an Englishman who drinks tea. Don't mock tea.
No, but it's like the specialty. I don't know what's in it, but whatever. We're going on this journey. And we were thinking about things, and this person that was guiding it was saying something about, okay, imagine you're in this forest or in this place or whatever, and this hand reaches out to you, blah, blah, blah. She's guiding it. And then my mind starts taking over. And I see this hand holding my hand, but my hands holding my hands. And I look up and it's just white, a white kind of blur. And I couldn't figure out, but the hands looked so familiar to me. And I was like, who are you? You know, in my head. And I realized those hands were my grandma, my mother's mom. Now, she passed away from cancer when I was like 3 years old. Mm-hmm. So I don't remember her. But I remember for some reason these hands looked so familiar. And I knew it was her, and she just held me and said, it's okay. And that's when I just that's where the breakthrough started. And we had this other part where we were like laying down on the floor and they were talking. Anyway, I don't remember what they were saying. All I know is that when I was laying down on the floor, I remember holding her hand and asking her why. Like, all I could say was why. Like, why is she like this? Why is your daughter like this? Why was she like that to me? And all I could hear from her was like, it's okay. It's okay. And then in this other part, we were laying down and they're talking about someone coming up behind you and you walking forward, right? Kind of like moving past it. And I remember I turned around and my kids grabbed my hand. And behind me, I felt a shadow and the light hands. And I felt from her, it's okay to move forward with your kids. I've got her. Like, it's okay. And so for me, I was able to finally let it go. And I don't know what it meant for me. It was, I guess, a case of maybe forgiveness, but for me to let it go and to know I don't have to have shame being from her, having her blood, because that's the same blood as my kids. And I can't feel that shame and that hate for that blood because I love them so much and I can't love any inch of them. I mean, I can't hate any inch of them. I love them so much. And for my grandma to be like, don't worry, I've got her. Like, she's this dark cloud suffering. I've got her. You go on with your life. Ooh. That was the moment that I never had nightmares of her again. I've really? Never, yeah, even everything that I went through in January, I could never look at a picture of her. I could never hear her name. I could never even talk about her because it would light my blood on fire. And now I just don't care.
Yeah.
Like she is the past. All I wanted was to not let her control my future and to be the mom that I've always wanted to have, but be that for my kids.
Have that, firstly, it's beautiful, right? And power of breath and magical tea or whatever the hell you were drinking up there.
The magical tea.
Hey, let's go. It's probably
breath work.
It's probably English breakfast tea. I won't take the credit. You're totally fine. No, that is incredibly, incredibly powerful. And I love that the fact that you said that you haven't forgiven, because to forgive in essence sometimes is to forget, right? Well, we'll just forget what happened. You don't ever want to forget what happened because it's who's created you, and you are a product of what happened in your life. However, you can let it go. And it's not mean you've forgiven her.
No, you
and
just
it doesn't
don't
mean
want
you're
it to
forgetting
control
her. I'm just letting that shit go. I'm not
Yeah.
letting it control my future.
Yeah.
And I think subconsciously you knew that you needed to do that, and that's why your grandmother's hands were there and your kids' hands were there. They're like, come on, girl.
You can't stay in this
You're
place.
34 years old now, love. When are you going to step out of this and move forward, right? And you needed just to tell yourself that.
Yeah.
And it came through in that beautiful vision. Since then, moving forward, how has your connection with your kids changed?
Oh my gosh, I'm so much calmer with them. I feel like I'm so much more loving and understanding of their flaws, because I feel like I was reading this book where people expect kids to act like them. You're a grown adult and you expect your kids to have the same mindset and control and discipline as you do. My daughter's 4. She's not going to act that way. Yeah. So I can't get mad at her for not being me. I just have to get down to her level. And I think ever since that happened, I've been able to get down at my kids' level and be a calmer person doing it. Where before I had so much anger, so much like frustration inside of me that I didn't know how to get rid of, that once I experienced those experiences, it was like I really literally was free to move forward and be who I want to be with my kids and not have her in my past controlling everything. Yeah.
Yeah, that is incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
Do you find yourself a daily or weekly, monthly, or a set frequency of retracting into the negative and into the pain and into the trauma at all? Or have you finally been able to build a bridge where it's like, I don't need to keep going there?
No, it's weird because people say, oh, when you have experiences like this, don't be surprised when you do find yourself kind of backtracking a little bit. And so I've been ready for that. Like, okay, I can handle that. I haven't felt it. It was like since that retreat. I have not felt it. It was like my family is I am so much more important and I'm worth fighting for. And my family sees who I am and loves who I am. So I have to get rid of the past. I have to move on from it or else it will still destroy me and they will win.
Yeah.
So ever since I had that experience, I think the power from my future and my family I'm creating and that love for them is so much stronger that once I let go of it, there's no room for it to come back. So there are times where honestly, there hasn't even been times that I've been frustrated. I don't feel a lack. I don't feel that hole anymore. I don't feel that frustration because I have everything I need from them. So I'm not even sad anymore. It's weird.
That. No, it's beautiful. No, it's fantastic because you have your own family.
Yeah.
You have Dan and you have your kids. And in essence, you have his family, like his parents who are grandparents to your kids, right? Like you've created a positive and joined a positive force to build you up and elevate you up.
Yes.
Never to pull you down.
Yeah. And it's not even them. Like I can't lean onto other people.
No, you have to find
I have to find it within myself.
Yeah.
And I have to find that love for myself and to tell myself I'm worth fighting for.
Absolutely.
And because if you don't love yourself and believe in yourself and your own best friend, it doesn't matter who loves you around you, you won't see it.
It's so true.
So
Michael McHenry hit me with that a couple of weeks ago on a podcast. He's like, dude, when you learn to love yourself, the world actually loves you back deeper.
Yeah.
He's like, but until you get to love yourself, you'll never accept the love of anybody else, truly and fully. You maybe you'll accept like a little bit of it. Yeah, they love me, but they don't love me because I don't love me, right? You got to know what self-love is before you can accept anybody else's love. And it sounds like you're there, girl.
I mean, being there is a come and go thing. You always need to be working on it.
Yeah.
And on your lowest points, you need to find the strength to say to yourself that you're still worth fighting for. Because if you have that in you, that will get you through back to that good place again. Because I still have good and bad moments, lots of them.
Is there, I won't say triggers, but is there moments that take you lower than you are higher?
Yeah. And, it could be a mixture of like hormones, you're just having a bad day or something happened that day. But it's never, ever since that experience, it's never been about that. It's so weird to say. It's like I'm actually living a normal life now, I feel like. I have bad and good days. Yeah. And I have days where I'm like, I'm feeling really bad at myself. It's like not a great day, like not feeling that confident in myself. But that's normal. But I let go of the trauma. So it's not dragging me as deep anymore.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's really nice.
Yeah, absolutely. It must be refreshing.
Very refreshing.
Like, oh my God, like you've literally just...
34 years of it.
34 years of shit, right?
Yeah.
It's like a weighted vest.
Yes.
That you've taken off. And you're like, oh my God, my lungs feel lighter. My body feels lighter. Like,
it's literal weight lifting off of me. Yeah.
Yeah. That is truly amazing. I am incredibly grateful that you have had the power to come on and talk about this. I think it's testament from hearing you talk about what's gone on to where you are now, and then also talking about that breakthrough that has allowed you to talk about this so openly and not let it pull you down. Like, for the last hour, we've practically talked about the trauma in your life, and you've spoke about it so strongly and positively, and this shit happened, but I moved this and da-da-da. And like, it's really allowed you to talk about it freely, but also not let it pull you back into it again.
Yeah.
Which I think is so powerful. And I'm so grateful and so honored and blessed that you are willing to be openly talk about it. I'm sure there are people out there that are listening that have potentially suffered with physical, mental, sexual abuse, have been rejected by their family or made to be wrong, gaslit in essence, like this hasn't happened to you, you're making that shit up, that will listen to this and be like, oh my God, like that's beautiful, like that's where I need to be, that's how I need to get there. And so I truly think that the story you've shared, there is power in that for anyone that's listening that may have gone through that or going through this, or even has suicidal thoughts because they don't belong. Yeah, that there's positivity out there.
Thank you.
And it's honestly been an honor for me to sit and facilitate this conversation. Like it's been amazing. So thank you.
Thank you. And it's been an honor to be here chatting with you.
I know. She's like, oh, this is my first podcast. It's like it's your 100th. You've just been an absolute pro at this.
You're so nice.
So before we wrap up,
yes,
I would like to hear from you 1 to 2 minutes of what the world needs to hear from Becca Swiss about parenting.
Oh, I mean, I am not the person, the guru that knows all, not even close. But I think for me, I can speak for moms. A lot of moms feel mom guilt for taking care of themselves. And a lot of moms feel mom guilt for handling a situation the wrong way. And one thing that I've learned with myself, I don't have a lot of mom guilt because I know that it's good for my kids to see my flaws and see how I handle it. Mm-hmm. And so they can learn how to handle their, like when they have bad days or bad moments, they can rise up and not feel like I'm a bad person because I had a bad moment.
Yeah.
It's good for moms to take care of themselves and carve out that time for themselves because they are a person of their own. And I know a lot of moms, they like give everything to their kids and they lose who they are inside. If I didn't have who I am inside, I don't know where I would be. But that's something that I've always fought for since I was a child is who I am inside. And so I find time every day to take care of that little person in me and to teach my kids to do the same for them. And so for me as a parent, I think it's less about what food you're giving them, what time they're going to bed, everything, and more about their soul. Are you taking care of their soul? Are you teaching them to take care of their soul? Because everything else will be fine. What grades they get, nothing matters as long as your mental health and your soul is okay and you're able to voice those feelings as a family and be that support for each other. So for me, that's our number one priority in our family and me as a mom.
I freaking love that. That is powerful. Becca, you are beautiful inside and out. Hearing from where you've come from to where you are today, it is a true testament to you for standing up for your soul and what you believe in and not giving up on yourself to stop what was happening to you. It was such an impactful statement. And I seriously just applaud you for going through what you've gone through, standing up, taking the hits, not giving up on yourself, and then creating this beautiful life with a beautiful family with Dan and 2 beautiful kids, and just living your fullest life and not letting anything beat you down. And it's a true testament to who you are. And I'm very, very proud to call you a friend.
Thank you. I'm proud to call you a friend.
All right. Thank you, my dear.
Thanks.
Thank you for listening to the Bear Den podcast. Please click subscribe and get the updates for our new episodes. And if you feel the need to reach out, you can reach me on Instagram @TheBritBear.